Hello everyone, my name is Christopher Lastner, and the person I decided to choose for my informative presentation is Ridley Scott. And the reason I decided to choose Ridley Scott is, number one, he is one of my favorite directors of all time, and number two, I really enjoy the way he directs. He uses a lot of lighting effects, coloring, and just the way a shot is produced in order to bring you into what he's focusing on. I really enjoy it, and it makes an impact on me quite a lot. Now, as you can see here in one of his most famous movies of all time, Alien, released in 1977, he uses a lot of lighting in the background to bring the character in the scene, which would be the alien, to the front and really focus your eye on it. Even though around it's very gloomy and dark, he really uses his imagery to point you in the direction of what he wants you to see. In his third film in the saga, Alien 3, in this image you can see a lot of the lighting effects also and the ambience, but on the left side you can see that there's one man that is mainly engulfed in lighting along with the other men in the background, which really balances out the shot due to Ripley being on the right-hand side and the more predominant character. Now, in the fourth film in the saga, Alien Resurrection, this film, also a great film, you can see that there's a lot of dull coloring and a very pastel-y look, and just the lighting focused on the creature itself really, drives fear into the viewer, which I believe he is trying to get at. Now, another one of Ridley Scott's more reputable films is Blade Runner, which at the time of release was not very popular, but has now come to light. And in this shot, you can even see the color tone usage, the very warm colors for the characters to bring them, pop them from the background, which is a very cool, damp color. Ridley Scott has been scrutinized for a lot of his work because of the fact that he focuses a lot on imagery and not so much on story, or at least as I believe, he knows the story in his head, but a lot of people just can't follow it. And one of his quotes that I like the best is, "People say I pay too much attention to the look of the movie, but for God's sakes, I'm not producing a Radio 4 play today. I'm making a movie that people are going to look at." And I believe this is a very strong stance because I see films and games and music as an art form, and I follow him very closely. Now, drawing back to Ridley Scott's very first film that he created, The Duelist, you can see in here there's not so much gloominess and along with his other dark films that he's done, but you can see that he still started here with the color tones, the very dull colors, no really bright popping colors, which started his career, and I believe started his the way he uses his atmosphere in his films. Now, on this shot, his most recent work, Prometheus, which is said to be within the same universe as the Alien saga, you can even see how this relates to a lot of his Aliens movies with, once again, the lighting, and it's very dark and almost cold. You feel cold when you're looking at the shot. And I believe that's what he's trying to get at here, is he's trying to get you to feel that idea and feeling of isolation. Now, in a few other movies you may not know that he directed, Hannibal is one of them, and even in this film, I didn't actually know he directed this film until I did some research on it, but I love this film anyway. Now that I've seen it and knows that he directed it, I can see a lot of his influence in the film. Again, a few other movies you may not know that Ridley Scott directed, one of them being a very famous film, Gladiator. And even in this shot, you can see how it's very grummy, and he really brings you into that time period with the way things are set up and the coloring and the lighting and the atmosphere. Another movie, Matchstick Men, which was not a very high production film, but also a very good film. Now in this shot it's hard to tell what this movie is, but many of you may have heard of the movie Kingdom of Heaven, and in this shot here you can even see, and in the entire movie that is, you can see that there's a lot of ambient lighting going on. There's not much coloring, no bright popping, but he still manages to draw you in and focus his image, or focus his eyesight on what he wants you to see. So in conclusion to my presentation on Ridley Scott, I would like to just shed some light onto why I find him a very strong director, and besides the fact of him having a very distinct point of view and using a lot of techniques to their full potential. Back when I was younger, I grew up in Baltimore, and I would have to say when I was about 5 or 6, I went to a science center down in Baltimore near the harbor, and they had a movie exhibit, and they had a bust of one of the aliens from the first Alien. And ever since then, I have been, I was probably 5 or 6, so obviously I was terrified of this creature, and ever since then I have loved the whole Alien saga. Even though up till now I'm ashamed to say this, but the movies give me the creeps, and I think it's because of that experience. Another thing I would like to say, it's kind of funny. Last night I watched a movie, American Gangster, which I did not actually know was directed by Ridley Scott until I was actually doing this presentation. I was looking around for movies that were directed by him, and I saw, wow, I watched the movie I didn't even realize. And now I look back on it, I can really see a lot of the different techniques that he's used in this movie, even though I did not know it was directed by him, along with, like I said, Hannibal, I did not know. And it's something I keep an eye for, because it's just, I'm a very big fan of setting the mood for a film, and even if the story is complete garbage, if it has a very distinct feel to it, such as a movie of like 300 had a distinct feel to it, Sin City had a distinct feel, anything that's unique I find very intriguing, and I hope you guys like my presentation.